For people who overthink, there is always something left undone. What else could I have done? Where did I fall short? But I want to tell you something very important. The vast majority of people in this situation have actually done everything they could. Sometimes I meet mothers who see themselves as inadequate mothers. But generally, when someone says, I'm inadequate in this area, they have already done everything possible in that area. The problem is this. There is a perfect point you need to reach in your mind, and because you think you haven't reached it, you constantly look for flaws in yourself. If you feel this way, please remember this. You have already done everything you could. If there were anything else to do, you would have done it. The reason you feel bad right now is not because you are lacking, but because you keep going over the same thoughts again and again. So tell yourself, I did my best. Calm down. People who overthink take their thoughts too seriously. They feel as if the things they think about are actually happening. Yet tens of thousands of thoughts pass through a person's mind every day, and most of them are rubbish. Think about it this way. You're standing on a crowded street, on Istiklal, on Kızılay. Thousands of people are passing by you. Trying to look at each person's face and think, this one thought this, that one wanted to do that, is just as meaningless. Taking every thought that crosses your mind seriously is just as meaningless. A thought is just a thought. It is not real. So you don't have to believe everything that crosses your mind. You can do everything right in life. You can give it your all. You can even exert superhuman effort. But the result, it can still be failure. Because we can't control the results. We can only control the process. We do our best and leave the rest to the flow. We say we leave it to God. Exactly like that. Making mistakes is part of the deal. No matter what you do, you will encounter mistakes sometimes. At this point, I want you to be a little more forgiving of yourself. Remember that you are human. You don't have to be perfect. If you accept that mistakes are part of life and show yourself a little compassion, you'll find yourself in a much more peaceful place. There's another truth that comforts people who overthink. Nothing is as bad as you imagine it to be. When your mind starts thinking about a bad possibility, it takes it to the extreme. Your fear increases, your anxiety grows. But do you know what happens in real life? You experience a problem, and a solution appears right next to it. And don't forget this, humans have a learning curve. Even things you thought were unbearable become easier over time. Look back at the past. The events you said, I'm ruined, I can't handle this. How did you manage them? How did they pass? That's exactly what I want to explain. Overthinking is sometimes a habit. You may have learned it from your family. When a problem arises, you might feel compelled to think about it for hours. But at some point, thinking doesn't produce solutions. It just increases the poison in your mind. If you're still thinking and can't find a solution, then stop thinking and do something concrete. Trust me, it will be much better. When you have a quiet moment, I want you to do this. Write down events from the past that you thought would be terrible. Then add this next to them. How did it turn out? When you do this, you will realize none of them turned out as bad as you thought. As thoughts swirl around in your mind, everything gets mixed up. But when you put them down on paper, they become clearer, more manageable. This method is also used very often in therapy. It is possible to trap thoughts on paper. The minds of people who overthink are always wandering. The past, the future, regrets, possibilities. And that's why the energy of the present moment escapes. Never forget this. You can only control the present moment. If you feel overwhelmed, stop and ask yourself, what can I do right now? What is within my power to do right now? What am I capable of doing right now? These questions bring you back to the present. When you arrive in the present, you feel calmer and stronger.